So welcome back to Healthy Morning right here on HSTV, and moving away from sports, we're coming straight into the In Focus segment. So earlier in my introduction, I told you we're going to discuss substance abuse, and joining me to have this conversation, I have Abdul Aziz Ali. He's head of education from the Narcotics Control Commission, Greater Accra Region, and also we have Reese Udro. He's the deputy regional commander for Greater Accra Region. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Inshallah, it's going to be a table of men today.
Obviously.
I'm quite interested in the conversation we're going to have today. We're talking about substance abuse, and it's been happening day today. And I know you have people, who walk into your place, complaining about, this substance abuse, drug abuse, and all that. So let me start with you, Abdul.
Yes.
When we talk about substance abuse to the layman, what's that?
Alright, so when we're talking about substance abuse, it has to do with the repeated and excessive use of natural or synthetic drugs for non-medical reasons, just to produce pleasure, even though it has got destructive effect. Alright, so somebody was introduced to it to you, or somebody said that when I good for me.
Yeah.
Even though you are not solving a particular issue that has to do with medical. Okay, so you abusing such drugs repeatedly and excessively, that is in large quantity, then we can tell that drug as what you are abusing such
substance abuse. That's great and quite interesting there. So talking about, moving away, Reese, let me come to you. We're saying it differs from addiction when we talk about substance abuse and people being addicted. Can you, enlighten us on that as well?
Okay, so thank you. First of all, let me extend greetings to your cherished viewers.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity you've given us. When we talk of substance abuse or people using substances, there's something we call progression of use.
Okay.
That is, when you begin to use a substance, it follows a trend. So from first timer or experimental stage, that's the first time the person gives you the alcohol or maybe the drug. You were an experimenter. Curiosity led you in there.
Okay.
Then you progress from experimenting or experimental stage to what we call the occasional user. So I use a substance every Friday after work. Because of the heavy traffic, I decided to meet my boys at this particular pub. We said to take 2 or 3 bottles before we move to our various homes. So now, every Friday, you are using the substance. That's occasional use. Then you progress from every Friday to every party, every social event. So if your social events then becomes 5 times in a week, then it means that 5 times you are consuming the substance. Then you move from the occasional to a regular user, because once you are using the things within 5 times in a week, that's no more occasional, but rather a regular user or a habitual user. So at that stage, if you are not careful, then it becomes chronic. It becomes, what I mean by it becomes chronic is, at that point you cannot do without the substance. So it's not a substance that is controlling you.
It becomes a lifestyle.
Then the disorder is coming in. So that is when we have substance use disorder, generally known as addiction. So at that point, it is a substance that is dictating for you what you need to do. You understand? And it's mostly characterized by relapse and cravings. So now you'll be in the office and you are craving for the substance. In the past, you were controlling the substance. You decide to drink on every Friday. But now, it's a substance that is calling you. You are, craving for it. So you can't even wait for the occasion or for the Friday to come. You are going to use it. So that is the difference. So as he said, drug abuse, that's the repeated excessive use. Substance use disorder is a chronic brain disease that is characterized by a person's inability to control their substance use despite the effects. So it's affecting your relationship, it's affecting your job, but because you are now being controlled by the substance, you can't control it. So now it has become a disorder and you need help.
Okay. So Aziz, I want to come to you being the head of education. I know definitely you have data tally coming in, people, abusing substance and all that. Here in Ghana, looking at the ratio and all that, how is it?
Yeah, well, I can't put a figure to it, but what I can say is that it is on the high. Abusing of drugs, especially alcohol and marijuana. Alcohol is said to be the gateway to the introduction of other drugs. So people start with it and then graduate to the marijuanas and then graduate to
the heroines, the cocaine, and then some synthetic drug as well. So if you ask me, I would say that these are the most commonly abused drugs, but it is on the rise.
It's on the rise.
Okay, it's on the rise, but I can't put a figure to
but within
it.
your commission, do you think sensitization is enough? Are you educating the public enough with regards to this issue?
Yeah, we educating people. I think we need to do more or better, because we work with logistics and it has to do with finance as well. Currently, the part of our mandate is education. So as we sit here, we are educating the public on the harmful effects of drugs. We do that also in schools.
Okay.
So we go around the country, the schools, and then we educate people on drugs. We also do that when we get the opportunity to go to the church or even the mosques. We do get the opportunity to educate people on drugs. But as I said, we will need to do more, and it comes with financial implications, because we have to fuel our vehicles, we have to get our equipment ready. We have to get more equipment, so it all has to do with the financial package that comes to us, and it is governmental agency, so we get everything from the government. So as and when it comes, then we roll out. So
as and when it comes.
Yeah,
so it's been a challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because we know what is happening in the country now. So sometimes, and then it's not education only that we do also enforcement, so we have people around the country, the border towns, the airport, the harbor, all these people, the letter that's been given to us by the government, we all feed into it. So
I'm quite interested in that, because yes, we have the passion and zeal to go out there to educate people, try to keep the situation, but coming in, the resources that are supposed to be made available is not there. It makes the work quite tedious and very challenging. But I hope today after the show, definitely our voice are going to be heard, and something is going to be done about it.
Maybe someone out there might volunteer to maybe you come for fuel, maybe the fuel stations. So Gual or Shell will say, Total, just come for fuel and then continue to. I think that will be massive.
Great.
It will be massive.
All right. Now, Reese, let's talk about the risk factors with substance abuse.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Before I go on, as Aziz was saying, when it comes to the fight against drugs, it's not only for Narcotics Control Commission.
Okay.
The late Kofi Annan says something that if you think drug abuse affects only the rich minority or people in the city, then better think again. It's a problem for all.
Oh, okay.
So yes, the government is doing its bit to help, but it's an all-inclusive approach. Narcotics control cannot be everywhere to control the use of these substances. We need the help of people within the society to also help, like HSTV is doing. This is not the first time we get in such an opportunity to engage with your viewers, and we entreat other media houses to also copy this act, because now the media is kind of, mass media reaches a lot of people. We driving to various schools or churches, how many people will you meet in the school? But if you get a chance to sit on a TV or on a radio,
it goes worldwide.
Look at the number of people that you reach. So we entreat and call on other people to also come in and help. Talking about the risk factors, different reasons may push different people to use different substances. For example, you are a parent and you are kind of authoritative. You don't listen to your child. You don't allow your child to have a say in the house. So even if he or she encounters something difficult, they don't feel comfortable discussing with you, but rather confiding in a friend. So parenting can be a risk factor. If you are not using the right parenting style or approach, it can be a risk factor. The environment, our society, where we live. If the substance is kind of widely available in our community, it's also a risk factor. The work we do. Imagine someone working in a pub or a restaurant, a bartender. You're always serving alcohol. You have access to alcohol. You go to the health facilities, the doctors, the nurses, they have access to most of these painkillers. I think before the discussion, we were watching and when I said painkillers. Yes, the least stress that they go through, they decide to take a painkiller. So stress is also a risk factor. Your workplace can be a risk factor, parenting style, even the school, the type of school that you attend can also be a risk factor. There are some schools you will get these substances over there, where others you might not even find. So these are all risk factors that can push somebody into using these substances.
Okay, so let's go back into the homes. I'm very excited you mentioned parenting style, the community we're living, wherever we find ourselves. It's the genesis to all these things. You know, backstage we were talking about, you know, when you give birth, you know, when the mom takes alcohol and all that. Can you enlighten us on that as well? Talking about the parenting style and all that.
Yeah, you see, in the past, we used to have this communal living where I could just take my child and leave them with you. That take care of them, I'm coming. Communal living. When I'm not there, you can feed my child. But now we are drifting away from that. Now it's me and my children. You don't have any right to even correct my child. So if the parenting style that I am giving them in the house is not the best or it's not a good one, you cannot even come in to correct them. So now it's between me and such a child. And as I said, authoritative. You don't listen to them. You are kind of putting on the strip. There are some parents, even if after the exam you place third, for you, problem. You need to be first. Yes, I think there was this movie, Akila and the Bee, or something. I think the girl had to let the boy get the thing correct because he saw what the father was doing. Yes, these things can push such a child into substance abuse because there is always the fear of being abused, being insulted, being caned or something in the house. So when that child, the least chance that child, he or she wants to leave the home. So parenting style can affect it. And our practices in the house. Let's say, I always say this, that the fridge that stores milk stores beer. So if you go into my fridge, you open my fridge, there is beer in the fridge, there is milk, there is juice. So once the child is always seeing milk, juice and beer, every day you give him the juice or the milk. One day when you are not there, they are tempted to test what you have been taking, the other bottle.
That you are not giving them.
Yes, so the fridge that stores beer stores milk. And this practice, parents must be very careful. If you are doing it, then make sure you are giving the clear education. And you see, when it comes to alcohol, we take it lightly. We think, oh, alcohol, some will even tell it's not a drug. But it's a serious drug. And the detrimental effect when it comes to alcohol, sometimes it's even serious than other substances. Yes. So a lot of things that we do in the house kind of expose our children to these substances. And because their brain is still developing, once they try, it becomes difficult for them to walk away from it. Yes. So our staff, sometimes I've seen parents send their wards to go and buy them cigarettes or even go and light cigarettes for them. So if you go and light the cigarette, definitely you put it in your mouth before you bring it. So these are some of the things that can expose the younger ones to substance abuse. So before they even grow, they're already exposed to it.
Okay.
What I'll add to is that we could say in simple terms, adult examples. All right. So in a house, as Reese was saying, then a parent is already into drugs, and then the child is also observing. At times you have even both parents who are into it. As she is even pregnant, she's abusing these drugs. I was telling a story of a documentary where a lady was saying that after delivery, she was saying that even if she's not on drugs, then the baby doesn't take the breast milk. You understand? So it's like the baby has become addicted even in her womb before even coming. And we've seen instances also where parents even send their wards to go and buy these drugs for them, to buy alcohol for them, and the person finishes drinking the alcohol and then gives the bottle for the child to send it back to wherever, and then it's like, but this man, what he's been taking this thing, what is it so interesting about this, and let me also try it. So you realize that the last bit of it under the bottle, that is what the child will be trying to taste, and it's like, wow, this man is enjoying. So next, who knows, then the child is hooked up to these drugs.
All right, so viewers, it's still Healthy Morning right here on HSTV. It's the In Focus segment, and we're talking about substance abuse. And right here in the studios, I have Abdul Aziz Ali. He's the head of education for Narcotics Control Commission, Greater Accra Region, and also Reese Odro, the deputy regional commander for Greater Accra Region. So if you have any suggestion, anything you want to add up to what we're discussing, we have our WhatsApp numbers available. Our social media pages are effective. That's HSTVLIVEGH. And just go to leave your comment and let's have this conversation. Now, before we move into the workplace abuse, let's talk about the effect these substance abuse they have on individuals. So, Reese, I don't know if you would take it.
Okay, maybe I'll take you also.
Yeah, so we can all both share.
So when we look at the effects, the first one is substance use disorder. That's the addiction we spoke about earlier. Minus that one, for the younger ones, loss of future ambitions. There are people, when we were growing up, we sat in the same class with them. And surprisingly now, you'll be walking in town and one of them will call you and you will turn and you are like, whoa, I knew you back at school. What happened? And it's clear. You will see the clear lines that, oh, this is a case of drug use. So it can affect them in that way. Financial problems. Because most of these substances are expensive. Even alcohol that people think is cheap. Let's say you are hooked on alcohol. A bottle of beer now costs like 15 cedis. So if you are taking this beer for like, you take 5 bottles a day, just calculate, do the calculation. How much money will you be earning that can sustain that kind of lifestyle? And when we go into cocaine and heroin, those are super expensive. And the effect also doesn't stay with you for long. So you need more money. So it drains you financially. So that is another effect. And we can also look at accidents and injuries. For example, you are operating a machine, you are intoxicated, you are drunk, or maybe any of these substances. You might not even injure yourself, but you can injure your colleague. So these are some of the effects. I think Ali can also...
Yeah, what I would say is that you lose family and friend ties. So what it means is that, as Reese was given an example, so if we were in class together some years ago and then all of a sudden you hook up to drugs and you fall out from school, I would not like to associate myself to you, because it means that it gives a bad signal of who I am. So I'm associating myself. So show me your friend and I'll show you who you are, something of that sort. So that is what I can
issue of stigmatization.
Yeah, also comes
nobody wants to associate with.
And you know, we have fines and penalty for people using drugs. So for example, if you do drugs and then the law catches up with you and then you are sentenced to prison, when you come back, people wouldn't like to associate themselves to you. Yeah.
So before moving into the workplace substance abuse, let's talk about the strategies we can use in preventing this thing, especially among the young people.
Yeah, so if we want to prevent the substance use, it's not a button that we can just press, then we press and people are not using substances. No, it's a holistic approach. It transcends from parenting to the society, to the school, media, before we even come in. So it's a holistic something that we need. The parents are the first form of socialization these kids have. So how or what is the type of parenting the child is experiencing in the house? Back in school, what is the school system like? Is there an anti-drug policy over there? What happens if there is a disclosure, like I walk to you and tell you I'm using substances? What happens to me? That one is there. The society, what is their perception about these substances? There are some places, if I use the Zongos for example, the Zongos frown heavily on alcohol. So it means when you have a child in the Zongo, there is the likelihood that they will not use alcohol. However, they endorse tobacco or cigarettes. So even though you are not using what do you call it, alcohol, tobacco or cigarette is also another substance. You go to, they will tell you the Rastafarian communities, and hemp or marijuana is considered normal. There are some homes they consider alcohol to be normal. So the society we live in, how do they see some of these substances? Is it normal? Do they frown on it? So where is the child growing up? That's also so to do prevention, it's a holistic approach that we cannot just sit here and say, oh, let's just go and do ABC and help prevent. But the whole world is a global phenomenon. It's a global problem that everybody is trying to find solutions to it, and it's not been easy. So the best we can do is sensitize them, create awareness, let them know the truth of these substances. And we shouldn't also exaggerate and lie to them, because mostly in our part of the world, we like to put fear, scare tactics. Hey, if you drink, you go mad. The next time the child will ask you, but daddy, why are you not mad? Because you have been drinking this thing and you are not mad. You get it. So let the child know that, okay, this is alcohol. It does A, B, C. However, you are this and you are not supposed to go there.
Yeah.
So give them the right education, and I think through that we can help. Because if we are doing what we are doing this morning, or teachers are doing in their school, and the child comes back home and a different thing is being done in the house or in the society, I mean, you know, there's going to be a boomerang. It's going to come back, and
again.
that is it. Yeah.
Great.
So prevention is not just something we can just click and do. Prevent it.
It takes time. Gradual processes.
Yes.
What I would like to add to is that as we are creating awareness, we also have to teach our children, okay, to be self-confidence. Okay, yeah, because these are obstacles that definitely will come before them. Premarital sex, use of alcohol, smoking. These are things that will come. But if you create that kind of awareness and also strengthen the child's confidence, for him to say no when he means no, then I think that can go a far way to help.
So you take them to be assertive.
Assertive,
That is, let them be able, because most of these young ones also encounter this through peer pressure. A friend will introduce. But if you've trained your child in such a way that he or she can say no, I don't like this, and can walk away. Yes, we can be friends, but this particular act of yours, I'm not interested in.
Yeah.
So it still boils down to parenting. Yes,
and all that.
And we can't take them out.
I like the fact that we are taking it, you know, from a gradual process. Now we're moving into the adult space. But do we have, are your helplines effective? You know, because I know we have helplines that you call to have these conversations with them, because some people are very not confident about themselves, as you made mention. They need people to talk to. How effective is it?
Yeah, it is. You can walk in anytime you want. The office is we have a head office located at around Alliance Française. Just shares a hall with Alliance Française. You can just walk in on there, or we will just leave our contact with you so that anybody who wants to call can just call in, and then we'll be readily available to assist the person.
All right, so let's talk about these rehab. You know, we have people who have been exposed to drugs, they've done it back to back, and they come to the rehab centers and all that. How do you deal with these people?
You see, the sad thing when it comes to treatment in Ghana is, I say it's woefully inadequate. We don't have it because all that the government has is 3 psychiatric hospitals, and you know, psychiatric hospital already has its stigmatization, which is different from rehab. So if I'm battling alcohol, you don't take me to Accra Psychiatric Hospital. I'm not mad. That's what I would tell you. So it makes treatment very difficult. And I think yesterday was on TV, one of the channels was showing the situation at Accra Psychiatric Hospital. And these are our brothers and sisters who are having these mental issues. This is the condition they are living. And you want me, who is doing my white collar job, and just because I can't stay away from alcohol to go and live with them, I will not go. So treatment in Ghana is woefully inadequate. Let's go to private rehab centers. How many are in existence? The few that are around are located down south. I think in Accra here we have one at Ashaman. There's one around I think down some and Mateko area and Atomic area. Then you go to Kumasi, they have some. Cape Coast have 2. I know BA has none. That's the 3 Bono regions. They have none. The 3 northern regions, the upper regions, OT, Volta, they all don't have. So if I'm battling with substances and I mean Paga, it means I need to travel down to Ashaman. Sometimes these people don't even have the money to do that.
For it.
So when it comes to treatment, rehab centers in Ghana, any platform that I get, I always say that is woefully inadequate. At least if every region could have one public rehab center, then we know we are making a headway. But as it stands now, the government has none. It's only the psychiatric hospital that is managing. And I think Kolebu also has a disease addiction unit or something like Kolebu. Apart from that, and Pantan is also trying to start something. Apart from that, we don't have. So the first is, don't even go into it and think you will go for rehab.
Somewhere to go.
We don't have. And they are very expensive. The private ones, they are very expensive. So if there is no money in the house,
Don't try.
don't even go into it. That's what I say, because treatment in Ghana is unavailable. That's what I say. Yeah.
All right. Now let's quickly touch on the workplace substance abuse. Let's have an education on that as well.
All right, so we have what is known as a substance workplace substance use. That is, it refers to the impairment of use of substance, okay, at the workplace or during the working hours. And then we have what is known as the workforce. So it is the opposite of it. So you are using substance, but outside the working hours. What it is that usually majority of these substance use are workforce, because people abuse these drugs or substances more outside the job, okay, but it has impact on the job. So for example, somebody you go out yesterday on Sunday, right? So you go out with your colleagues to hang around, and then you just take 1 or 2 shots, and then early in the morning you are coming to work. And look at it, it might affect what you will do this morning if you are supposed to be here this morning. All right, so that is the difference between substance use workplace and then workforce. The workforce has to do with the individual, okay. It has to do with the individual outside of the work, and then the workplace has to do with during the working hours when one tend to abuse these drugs. Even though they have their challenges, I know we will talk about that.
Okay, so Reese, what are you going to add up to the workplace and workforce?
Yeah, just like Ali said, the workforce is more common than the workplace, because mostly people don't drink or don't use these substances at work, but when it's closing time or when they are not working, that's when they tend to. And as I said earlier, substance abuse is a societal problem, and the workplace is also within society. So definitely there is substance abuse at the workplace too, which need to be looked at, because mostly employers don't give so much attention to this particular act, but it affects productivity. Yeah.
So, you know, recently there was a story trending of police who shot someone because he was drunk.
Oh, okay.
Quite a disturbing one. Then now people are doing all sort of things, and they end up, you know, losing lives. And these policemen, you know, they keep coming in the news every time. At night, you see them on patrol. Some people drunk and all that, doing all sort of things that are not quite helpful. So we'll wrapping it all up. What are you going to tell the general public today? We find you here sensitizing the public and all that. What would be your advice to people watching us this morning?
Yeah, since we are centered on workplace, we would advise that employers to ease up things for their employees, because there are some who have come into a new environment of work, say factory, and they would like to impress. As a result of that, they tend to take these drugs. So there should be that kind of easiness at workplace where people will not feel pressured, will not feel stressed, because stress is the #1 reason why people would abuse drugs at workplaces, and it will come with accident and all sort of things. And there should also be job variation. Okay, so I know every time when I come, I'm on set. Some love it, some also see it as boring. So the person has to get a coping mechanism for that kind of thing, and then, you know, the person goes in. So there should be easiness and job satisfaction. You know, at times in this part of our world, people work a lot, but they can't show for it. You understand? And so what am I wasting my time doing? So that frustration comes in, and then people also go in. And then there should be policies, drug policies, especially at workplaces or wherever we find ourselves, so that these are the do's and these are the don'ts. Okay. What are you going to help people to come out from stigmatization? So I'm coming, who am I going to talk to? Is the person reliable? Is he going to keep my information confidential? Okay, I'm into drugs. What does the employer does? Just dismiss the person? What are the policies that you've laid down to curb these things? So when you have these policies down, the person is into drugs. Okay, so what do? Maybe we'll refer you to a facility, but then we'll be using part of your salary to cater for it. Or we'll be going to give you just a suspension for you to go work on yourself and come back. Or wherever he finds himself is contributing to the person taking the drug. So why not change a position for him? All right, this time you are at the gate, because then you have access going out and stuff like that. Okay, so now you'll be seated in this room. you receive guests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that would help in resolving some of these issues.
Reese, what are you going to add up?
I would say employers should also focus on they should have, or they should promote health and well-being among their employees.
Good.
If you look at Ghana here, most organizations don't even factor what we call the workplace ergonomics, like the setup. You go to some office and about 10 people sharing a small space. This creates unnecessary stress on people, because not everybody who is comfortable sitting with people, but because of job, I need to be there.
Yeah.
Small room, we are about 10 people, we are about 11 people sharing that little space. Employers should factor that one in mind. And also, if, as Ali said, if they are going in for policies, it shouldn't be only the punitive aspect, because if you look at what exists in our part of the world, okay, we caught him smoking, or he was drunk at work, we've dismissed the person. So you deliver the person to the hands of the destructive alcohol or whatever substance the person was using. Why not promote health?
Okay.
Send the person to rehab. These are some of the things. Let's also look at the preventive measures. Reduce stress, workload, review work that people are doing at least quarterly. Get into it. Are they being stressed? Is the workload enough for the person? Is it too much? Let's focus on that one too. And also there should be clear-cut guidelines. There are some organizations, the policies are there, but until you commit, you will never know. Why? It's a policy for the employees. Show it to them. Let them know that these are what is available, and when you commit, this is the solution, or this is where we will take you to. So the person also know. Let's train frontline managers to handle some of these issues, so that if I speak to my director or my immediate boss about me using substances, he should be able to handle the system. Yes, so these are some of the things or recommendations that I will give out. The employers should focus, because workplace or workforce substance abuse affects productivity.
It affects productivity. That's great. We're really humbled having you on the show today, and I think we've been educated enough. And we're praying that resources and other things are going to be made available to make your work easier, because we have a lot of youth who are, who find themselves in this situation, and it's quite disturbing. We believe the youth is the future. So if there's no solutions to these problems, it's really going to be a problem. It's going to be a bigger issue, and we wouldn't be able to, solve it. So thanks very much for having you on the show today.
Thank you.
All right. So having a discussion about substance abuse with Abdul Aziz Ali. He's the head of Education Narcotics Control Commission, Greater Accra Region, and also Reese Odro. He is the Deputy Regional Commander for Greater Accra Region. So viewers, this is where we draw the curtain on the In Focus segment. Steph is coming in with Stay Alive. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.